In the waning days of the Roman Empire's tumultuous 3rd century, chaos reigned supreme. Endless civil wars, devastating plagues, economic ruin, and relentless barbarian incursions had left Rome teetering on the brink of collapse. From this storm emerged Diocletian, a capable soldier who took the imperial mantle and began the arduous task of restoration. After defeating his rival Carinus at the Battle of the Margus River, Diocletian seized control of the empire in 285 AD, determined to end the instability. Aware of the perils of solitary rule, he appointed his trusted general Maximian as co-ruler, creating the Diarchy. Diocletian held the east, while Maximian governed the troubled western provinces, stamping out rebellions and securing Roman authority. By 293, Diocletian evolved his system into the Tetrarchy, a rule of 4. Diocletian and Maximian were now senior Augusti, with junior Caesars Galerius in the Balkans and Constantius Chlorus in Gaul. This delicate arrangement aimed at stable succession, but would soon reveal fatal cracks. Among the imperial entourage was Constantine, son of Constantius Chlorus. Young, ambitious, and courageous, Constantine spent his formative years absorbing lessons from Diocletian himself, gaining invaluable military and administrative insight. Diocletian admired the youth's evident promise, but Galerius viewed Constantine with wary suspicion. When Diocletian fell gravely ill in 305 and abdicated, Galerius quickly marginalized Constantine, favoring his own nephew Maximinus Daia. In the west, Constantius Chlorus died soon after, and Constantine was proclaimed emperor by his father's loyal legions in distant Britain. Galerius grudgingly acknowledged Constantine only as Caesar, sparking a simmering resentment. In Rome, Galerius's harsh taxes stirred outrage, leading the populace and the powerful Praetorian Guard to proclaim Maximian's son Maxentius as ruler. Galerius, enraged, sent his puppet Augustus, Severus, to reclaim the Eternal City. Severus marched confidently toward Rome, only to see his troops seduced by Maxentius's lavish bribes. Severus was swiftly captured and executed, leaving Maxentius firmly entrenched in Italy. Galerius himself marched south to punish Maxentius. But Rome's imposing walls and Maxentius's cunning bribery undermined him. His army melted away, forcing a humiliating retreat northward, devastating the countryside in bitterness. With Galerius's withdrawal, Maxentius declared himself Augustus, deepening the empire's fracture. For years, uneasy alliances and betrayals roiled the empire. By 312, Constantine, determined to reunify Rome under his leadership, marched a veteran army across the Alps into Italy. Victories at Turin and Verona paved his path toward Rome, setting the stage for the decisive confrontation. On a cool autumn evening, October 27th, 312, Constantine's troops camped near the Milvian Bridge outside Rome. That night, Constantine experienced a vision that would forever alter history. Gazing skyward, he saw a luminous cross emblazoned with the words, "In hoc signo vinces." In this sign you shall conquer. Interpreting this divine omen, Constantine ordered his soldiers to paint the Chi-Rho, the first 2 Greek letters of Christ, onto their shields. Across the Tiber, Maxentius, a devout pagan, relied upon Rome's traditional gods. Believing prophecies that victory awaited him beyond Rome's gates, he rashly marched his troops onto the open plains near Tor de Quinto, placing his faith in numbers rather than defensive strategy. The morning of October 28th dawned brightly, illuminating a tense battlefield where roughly 25,000 battle-hardened Constantinian soldiers faced Maxentius's larger but less cohesive army of 30,000. Both armies formed lines, their backs perilously close to the Tiber. Constantine himself initiated the combat, leading a ferocious cavalry charge into Maxentius's front line. His elite horsemen shattered the initial enemy resistance, signaling his disciplined infantry to surge forward. Shields locked and swords flashing, Maxentius's Praetorians and veteran legionnaires initially resisted fiercely, forming disciplined defensive squares, but the tide soon turned. On Constantine's right flank, a second cavalry division thundered forward, overwhelming the smaller Maxentian cavalry and blocking their retreat to the bridge. Panicked, Maxentius's cavalry and inexperienced reserves dissolved, fleeing chaotically toward the narrow Milvian Bridge. In the chaos, soldiers were trampled, and the bridge's makeshift construction collapsed under their weight, hurling men into the rushing Tiber. Seeing disaster unfolding, Maxentius attempted a desperate escape across the river, but burdened by his heavy armor, was swept under by the relentless current. His lifeless body was discovered downstream the following morning. The remaining Praetorians, encircled and abandoned, chose valor over survival, holding their formation defiantly until Constantine, moved by their bravery, ordered them spared. The battle's brevity belied its magnitude. Constantine's losses were minimal, while Maxentius's forces suffered catastrophic casualties. Entering Rome in triumph, Constantine proclaimed himself sole ruler of the West, ending decades of division and conflict. Yet the victory at the Milvian Bridge symbolized something far greater than military conquest. It heralded a new epoch. Constantine, convinced of divine favor, would become Christianity's great patron, dramatically reshaping the empire's religious landscape. Pagan temples would yield to Christian churches, and Rome's ancient gods would fade into history. Years later, Constantine clashed with Licinius, his former ally, over the continued persecution of Christians in the East. In 324, Constantine triumphed again at Chrysopolis, finally uniting the empire under his undisputed rule. Thus began Rome's profound transformation, from a pagan empire to the heart of Christendom, echoing across centuries and shaping civilizations. Constantine's vision at the Milvian Bridge, whether divine providence or shrewd strategy, had indeed conquered not only an empire, but the very course of history itself.